Power down your UFO, banish the poltergeists and hang on to your crystal balls, because this is Top Secret TV. Hello and welcome to Top Secret TV. My name is David Becker. Top Secret TV is committed to sharing unusual and hard to get information with you, the viewer. Over the coming series, we'll be bringing you stories on alternative lifestyles, technology and health, real-life X-Files and conspiracies, and esoteric and unusual knowledge. On this edition of Top Secret TV, Mark von England speaks to the author of Abduction to the Ninth Planet, Carla Brooks presents the World Roundup with Between the Lines, Mark again brings us up to date with upcoming events, and I speak with John Campbell from World Harmony. But first, here's Carla with Between the Lines.
Hi Dave, and welcome to Between the Lines. I've got a couple of stories for you this evening, and we start with Colgate pays out for fluoride-ruined teeth. Fresh calls to end fluoridation of water are to be put to the UK government by a group of MPs led by Sir Ivan Lawrence, the Conservative member for Burton-on-Trent. The action follows a decision in November 1996 by the toothpaste manufacturer Colgate-Palmolive to make a goodwill payment of £1,000 to a 10-year-old Essex boy suffering from dental fluorosis, a condition in which tooth enamel is mottled by fluoride. Sir Ivan, who has campaigned against fluoride for years, said, "This decision puts the issue back on the map. The pendulum is now swinging against fluoride, and I believe it is inevitable that we shall stop fluoridating water before too long." The campaign against fluoridation of water supplies has been helped by documents recently declassified by the US government, showing that scientists had evidence in 1944 that fluoride could cause confusion, drowsiness and listlessness. This discovery is believed to have been made at an atomic weapons base. Further research was ordered but then stopped 6 months later. The papers were unearthed by Dr. Phyllis Mullenix, a toxicologist at the Children's Hospital in Boston, after carrying out research on the toxicity of fluoride in rats, which suggested it accumulated in the brain and could lead to a lower IQ. And talking about life on other planets, great fireballs in the sky raise intelligent doubts. 4 fireballs were reported floating over Melbourne, and even the Bureau of Meteorology is not sure what they were. The flaming balls were reported to The Age by several people in the Surrey Hills area. One witness said the objects, the size of beach balls, had moved in formation and had hovered before travelling north towards the city and then returning just before 10 p.m. A spokesman for the Bureau Severe Weather Section, Mr. Chris Ryan, said the activity described was consistent with ball lightning, a phenomena occasionally produced in severe thunderstorms, for which there is no accepted scientific explanation. But he said it was unusual for ball lightning to occur without other storm activity. It seems unusual that there were no thunderstorm activity around the time. The director of Australian International UFO Research Incorporated, South Australian Mr. Colin Norris, said the witnesses' descriptions of fireballs suggested extraterrestrial activity. We've got to look at it a little bit liberally and understand there's no storms in the area, then, yes, it's very possible that there's an extraterrestrial explanation. He said the movement of the objects and their formations suggested an intelligent driving force. And that's all now. Thanks, Dave. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Carla. Tonight our first story is on Abduction to the Ninth Planet. Michelle Desmarquet was the author of this book, and Mark van England, our reporter on the spot, spoke to Michelle in Horizons Cafe in November of last year.
A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to come down to Horizons bookstore in St Kilda in order to speak with Michelle Desmarquet, author of the book Abduction to the Ninth Planet. Would you like to just start your tale on what inspired you to write this book?
Inspire me as funny or extraordinary can seem. Inspire me, I've been picked up next to my house and by extraterrestrial coming from a very, very evolved planet. And I explain in the book, I've been like a sort of a zombie in my own house suddenly in the middle of the night. And walk outside. Outside was normal. It was just very, very special silence, but I didn't see anything else. And after a few paces, have been the grass under my feet been bluish, and the house seemed to be distorted. And at that moment, I sort of wake up and say, I'm sick. What am I doing here outside? I'm going home. And at that very moment, I've been lifted and passed in a parallel universe. And when I speak about parallel universe to people, it's very difficult to explain, but to give you a better idea, you heard about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
Good. The Bermuda Triangle is only one place in well known in Atlantic where people or sometimes ships, planes disappear simply because the parallel universe around Earth is touching our universe more often than anywhere else. So if you like, those people made an artificial Bermuda Triangle to pick me up on the top of my house. So I passed in a different dimension where they had the spacecraft, and the spacecraft was there levitating 10 meters over the ground of the parallel universe. People from very, very long time ago were there, from the last century, and I didn't even believe what I was seeing, and I had a sort of argument with that extraterrestrial who wanted to take me with in their planet.
So when did they first tell you that they were going to take you?
At that very moment.
Now on the cover of your book, Abduction to Ninth Planet, there's a blonde-haired, I expect humanoid, because I'm looking at her from behind. Do the majority of these beings have blonde hair?
Yes, fair hair. Yes, very light chestnut to platinum hair. Very, very fair skin too.
Right.
They look like a woman, and they are hermaphrodites, which means they have both sexes. To understand, they are not ugly at all. They are very, very beautiful. Those one particularly are gigantic because in their planet is not the same gravity.
Right.
But everything is gigantic there. But they are very beautiful. They have a beautiful skin, beautiful eyes. Everybody would like to be like them on our planet.
When you were in their realm, were you able to communicate directly back through telepathy with them?
Yes, they read my mind before I ask a question. Mm-hmm. They talk to me. They can talk different languages, certain of them. And the telepathy was absolutely fantastic. We even play with our telepathically. It was like a game. Like really, I could never believe what we call telepathy. It's like the word resonating in your head almost, you know, it's unbelievable.
Now, a lot of abduction cases across the world, they've got many familiar aspects to them, many of them leading towards more the conspiracy theory, towards the grey alien abducting people.
First of all, those grey aliens are dying on their planet. The planet is not very far from. It is the same category of us, first category. They are dying on their planet by complete lack of immune system. Good. Since 1948, we have here in our planet, because the radioactive, the radiation, atomic radiation, radioactivity, we are losing steady our immune system. That's very dangerous. So those people know that, and they implant certain of us on this planet like a living laboratory, if you want to. They don't experiment, they just do that because by that implantation they can study our reaction and say, okay, we can maybe do something for us because the reaction of people of Earth. You understand that? That's the only reason they implant people.
So it's a self-serving process?
Yeah, and they don't command the people, they just observe what's going on.
How's the media taken your story?
The media has a big problem, okay? I respect you because you are open-minded enough to interview me, because the media has a problem because they are scared of interviewing me, asking me something, and you taking me seriously. They are scared over there to say, people are going to say, oh, come on, that media is completely lunatic. You know, that guy is crazy. Because, of course, if you go over the fence and tell your neighbor you've been abducted the last week, it's a funny reaction. But the thing is, something very amazing happened. The people who been skeptical, which is normal to be skeptical, after reading my book, you can say 98% of people believe or at least understand very, very much what's going on. That's
It's
after
quite a
reading
dramatic
the book.
story
Yeah.
for someone to
So the
believe.
media has a problem because they say, if we put that on air, maybe people are going to say we are crazy, you know, because we are. And it's wrong because most of the time it's wrong because people need that information. They want really need it, read the book when they talk. They want to really ask me questions. They are interested. And I have tremendous response with that book. People stopping me in the street and say, you wrote a book, don't you? And one guy in Cairns not long ago, a 22 years old guy, he said, you wrote a book and I met you in Brisbane. And you know what? Thank you very much for writing that book because without that book, I wouldn't be here talking to you because when I read your book, I was going to commit suicide.
I finally asked Michel, did they impart any message to him regarding the future of mankind?
We are at a turning point in our so-called, because we don't have a civilization really good, they call it more than technical organization than civilization. But they are appalled the way we conduct for the moment ourselves as too materialistically instead of spiritually. We don't look at all at what we are inside. And also we conduct ourselves like a flock of sheep. And that is very bad because we shouldn't do that because the Creator itself gave us our free will. We were talking about suicide a few minutes ago, and even the suicide, which is very, very bad to do, you can do it. You can do it because you have your free will. Even that, it's a choice. So we have a choice, and we conduct. Many of us conduct ourselves like a flock of sheep. Somebody says something, the politician says something. Example, everybody follow. Nobody say, "Oh no, but you say black yesterday and you say white today." Nobody wants to do that. They are too bad. It's all right, you know. You can't do that because you have your free will. You are an individual. An individual being, and as a human being, you have to respect yourself. That's what is one of the main things they had when they abduct me and they show me all those things. That is one of the main point of the message. But now, if you ask me my not opinion, but my knowledge, if planet Earth is going to be invaded, I tell you definitely not.
Definitely.
No, that's good in science fiction, but I'm not writing science fiction, I'm writing the truth.
An interesting read. Next, Mark tells us what's on in Melbourne. Hello, Mark.
Thanks, Dave. The Alternative Science and Technology Research Organisation can be contacted by writing to 220 Balmore Road, Victoria, Balwyn. World Harmony can be contacted by writing to PO Box 55, Upper Ferntree Gully, 3156, Victoria. Victoria Energy Network International can be contacted by writing to Jeannie, Ross House, 247 Flinders Lane, Melbourne 3000, Victoria. The Victorian UFO Research Society can be contacted by writing to PO Box 43, Moorabbin 31989. The Melbourne Nexus Association can be contacted by writing to number 8 John Street, Sandringham 3181, Victoria. If you'd like to contact TSTV or would like info on any of the segments and send a stamp itself addressed envelope to Melbourne Nexus Association. The up-and-coming events, we have British journalist David Icke, editor of Exposure magazine David M. Summers. They're presenting a discussion based on topics such as New World Order, the UN, UFOs, suppression of spiritual knowledge, and a lot more. For tour dates, pick up a copy of your Exposure magazine at your news agency or ring CNI direct on 07 5485 2766. Also, Nexus Conference 1997 is being held at the Gazebo Hotel. Sydney, May 24th and 25th. Speakers include Robert Bevol, co-author of The Orion Mystery. He's presenting information on the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. Linda Moulton Ho, author of Alien Harvest, talks on UFOs and the alien abduction theory. Simon Trevelyan, ex-British intelligence, speaks out about conspiracy from the inside. Harlan Girard, one of America's foremost researchers on mind control, will have a big in-depth talk about that. Don Maish, Australia's leading researcher of the effects of ELF magnification towers, now relevant in nearly every corner of the world. Anthony Hansen talks on Tesla and some of his own inventions. For information, pick up Nexus magazine or ring Nexus Info on 075442 9280. Thanks, that's all for me, and back to Dave.
Thanks, Mark. My guest tonight is Mr. John Campbell, the coordinator for the Victorian Centre of the World Harmony Foundation. Welcome, John.
Good evening, David.
How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good. Could you just tell us a little bit about World Harmony?
World Harmony was started by our founder, Trevor Osborne, who as a child had a dream to open an organisation to serve humanity through having interested people who give of their time and efforts.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the activities that World Harmony undertakes?
I'm the coordinator for Victoria, and what we try to do here is to access people's skills and their interests. We say interests because not everybody has skills in the areas they would do well in. Mm-hmm. But Trevor often states, let's do what excites us the most with integrity. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that and do what you do well, then you will make a difference. Mm-hmm. And we look to those skills and finding better ways than those that are currently being done, and give it, and I use Trevor's word here, unconditionally back to the world. Mm-hmm. With the sets of principles on which World Harmony functions, Trevor talks of integrity, and integrity is having no secrets. And if you can be open with all you do, then this sets the scene for trusting people. We live in a world where people don't trust each other. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where you try to get ahead of the next man before he gets ahead of you. And by bringing about this idea of integrity, this establishes a totally new paradigm.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the activities that your group actually does? What are some of the areas that people can use their skills in?
What we take, I think at the moment we've got about 10 categories of broad interests that people have, and then we break them down into various areas. Let me give you a few examples. For instance, we have in our education section, we have a lady who formed the Universal Learning College, Margaret Harley is her name, and she has integrated Steiner, Montessori, accelerated learning and neuro-linguistic programming all into the curriculum, mm-hmm. which means it serves all children from all walks of life with all temperaments. And it would be nice for children to be able to say when they grow up, I enjoyed school. Mm-hmm. Let's take another area. We've got an environmental building project going where we're actually setting up, we've got at the moment plans for 2 eco-villages where we're going to use products that are environmentally friendly in their manufacture, use very low fossil fuels. Mm. David Suzuki has warned us if we don't cut our fossil fuels down, then we're on a long trip in the wrong direction. We're not going to be able to come back. So we're trying to find things that use less fossil fuels. Having found those products, we're then going to put them together. There's some very exciting stuff coming up now mm-hmm. that people haven't even heard of yet, replacements for cement and for wood. And putting these together to build a building that is going to be energy saving, low cost, of course, one in which the owners of the house can be a part of the building, and which are going to be obviously there for some time. I believe we've got a few planetary changes coming up which are going to demand some fairly strong buildings. And of course underground is one of those focuses.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about some of the guiding principles. From what you've said, it sounds like sustainability would be one of those guiding principles to have a future that is sustainable, that can be kept on going forever and ever. Is that true?
Yes, we all live on this planet. Whether you're a millionaire or a pauper, you still breathe the same air. And it would be nice to be able to clean up the planet. As David Suzuki said, we are burning too many fossil fuels. Trevor will be holding a global pollution solution summit in 1999, where he's going to place the alternatives to petroleum to the oil companies to give them an opportunity to be able to make double their dollars producing the raw materials for superwood, which replaces timber. in many, many ways a far better product, giving the raw materials to the oil company, to the forestry people who have a ready-made market for an infinitely better building product, which looks like, feels like, drills, cuts and saws just like timber. It's totally recyclable. It's fire retardant and it's very strong. It starts, for those builders around who know about strength of timber, it starts with F27. Here then we have the oil companies winning through their, we talk about the win-win paradigm, a very bandied word, but it has meaning. They have doubled their dollars making the everwood. The trees get their they can develop again, so the planet gets her lungs back, and we who live on the planet can breathe fresh air again. That's a win-win all round.
Okay. So what sort of people do you get coming to World Harmony?
The sort of people we would get were people who have in their hearts a desire to help the planet and not to get something for themselves. The word unconditional means that whatever we find, we give it away so that everybody on the planet, not just a select few who are going to make a bit of money out of it, can benefit from it. So whatever we find, we put it together, and I suppose one of our major activities is in communication. And I suppose our friend the internet is one of a very good source for that. Word of mouth, of course, is probably the best. But then we can get all this information out so anybody who wants to use it can do so.
And whereabouts does religion and spirituality fit into World Harmony? I mean, I remember reading some literature and it said that it was basically non-religious in the sense that you're accepting of all religion.
Non-religious, non-denominational, a non-profit organisation accepted by the tax department, and we are out, I suppose, to accept any religion. This is the acceptance of all that is around us. Why should we judge? Judgment is not in this. It's a way of non-judgment.
So would you say that spirituality, it sounds like quite a few of the concepts do have a spirituality base. Is the concept of in harmony a spiritual based concept, or is it simply logical because to live harmoniously is better than living disharmoniously?
Mankind is physical, mental and spiritual. We all have our spiritual goals deep down inside, whether we know it or not. We do have a very in-depth personal and spiritual development centre within the World Harmony, which Trevor tries to encourage everybody to look at. And it's been proven by many of the multi-level marketing companies, by the fulfillment speakers around the world. This is a very important area. When people can start to realise who they are and why they're on this planet, they change overnight. And instead of chasing the next SEC bill or the coal bill or whatever they've got, by concentrating on why they're here and by giving their very best to that, then they do change. And this is what we want, people who are able to put aside the day-to-day routines to look at the bigger picture of what we can really do for this planet. And I think there's been a concept going around for quite a long time now that the major changes that took place on this planet have usually been due to a small but dedicated group of people. I'd like to think that World Harmony was one such group.
And as part of this dedication, I expect it is an international group, isn't it?
Yes.
Could you tell us some of the places that you're already established and where you plan to be established?
Trevor, as I said, was an Englishman. He has a background in engineering and in business, and has been all around the planet. A lot of his concentration has been in the US. We have a centre in Washington. He's established one in Hawaii. We have currently our centre in Auckland in New Zealand is starting to come now. There's a centre opening up in Bali. We have had interest from Africa, from Germany, and I'm hoping to be able to be part of putting together a centre in England. So yes, we are spreading quite well, apart from the centres around Australia.
Right. And with other groups, do you have connections or affiliations with other groups? For example, I know that you have the service available to members to buy organic vegetables through a home delivery service. Is there a network of groups that you try and expand into or encompass or be connected with?
Trevor encourages us to link with as many groups as we can. Yes, in Victoria here we're linked with Genie, the Global Energy Network International, the our Buckminster Fuller group.
Okay, we'll actually be speaking with them next week.
Yes, and also we link with ASTRO, the Alternative Spiritual and Technological Research Organisation. We also link with the Green Line, who, as you say, are the suppliers of organic vegetables and organic and biodynamic produce, which has been proved to be more healthy than we ever thought. through leaving minerals and valuable vitamins within the food has been eradicating quite a lot of illnesses. Yes, and we link with several magazines we're in touch with, Spiritual Links, Sedona Magazine, and several others with whom we share articles, information, and of course we share memberships in many of these cases, so we simply swap newsletters.
Right. Okay, well, just as a quick closing question, could you perhaps walk us through where you think World Harmony is going to be in the year 2000 and beyond?
Have you heard of the 100th monkey syndrome?
Yes, I have actually. But
it's becoming very popular. They found that a scientist studying with monkeys in the islands beneath Japan noticed that a change in their behaviour spread through the islands. Well, of course, they don't have internet, they don't have telephones, but somehow a pattern spread through those islands. They did further experiments and they found that although we do have these communication sources, that humans are in the same boat. We do actually, when a major change has taken place, it spreads like wildfire through the world's population. And Trevor sees the changing of people's behaviour as being changing a small group, and then it'll spread. So
kind of like reaching a critical mass, and then
a critical mass, exactly.
From
yes,
there.
and it can go from there. Yes.
All right. And if people are interested in getting in contact with World Harmony, where can they get in contact with you?
Well, I suppose being the Victorian coordinator, I'd like to push Victoria, and we have a. Do you like to give the box number?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, if you'd like to write to Box 55, Upper Ferntree Gully, Victoria 3156. We'd be very glad to send you information on World Harmony and what we do, and of course we'd obviously welcome you with your skills and or your interests. You don't need to have a skill to help us to bring together this big family that's going to really make a difference on this planet.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you.
Okay. World Harmony is an important concept, bringing together the people and ideas to bring about global change. It seems to be an idea whose time has come. First we must realise this, and then finally we must act on it. Tune in next week as Ray Stark finds out how to make a health drink, kombucha, and I interview Julian Rodero from the Global Energy Network International. That's all we have time for this week, so I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
This program was brought to you by the Melbourne Nexus Association.